Welcome to our explainer. Today, we're diving into something huge, China's new digital currency. Now, according to our source for this analysis, the channel China Insider, this isn't just about modernizing money. Nope. They argue it's a plan with two massive goals, achieving total economic and total political control.
So let's start with a really big question, one that our source puts right at the center of this whole thing. How do you get over 8 billion people to spend money, especially when there's a crisis of confidence and they'd, much rather save it? This is the core problem the Chinese government is allegedly trying to solve.
All right, first things first. To really get what's going on here, we have to look at the problem. According to our source, China's in the middle of a major economic crisis, and that right there is the why behind this whole digital currency push.
So, get this. The source is reporting that China is facing its worst economic downturn in 40 years. I mean, that's huge. And it's created this widespread crisis of confidence. People are just plain scared to spend their money. So if you're the government, what do? Well, your goal becomes pretty clear. You gotta find a way to force people to put that cash back into the economy. And that right there brings us to the proposed digital solution. A brand new currency cooked up to power a totally digitized economy.
Okay, so what is this thing exactly? It's called a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. The easiest way to think about it is like a digital version of the yuan, but, and this is key, it's issued and controlled directly by the central bank. And let's be super clear here, this is not cryptocurrency. This is state-controlled digital cash, period. And this is where we get to the absolute heart of the argument from our source. On one hand, you have the official story. The digital yuan is all about driving an economic rebound. But China Insider alleges the real goal, the one underneath it all, is way, way bigger, achieving absolute political and economic control over every single citizen.
Okay, so let's dig into that first piece of the puzzle, total economic control. The source argues this system gives the state power over your wallet like we've never seen before. Think about it. The moment physical cash disappears, everything changes. Every single transaction you make becomes visible and controllable. We're not just talking about the state knowing what you bought. They could potentially dictate where you're allowed to spend, what you're allowed to buy. They could even put an expiration date on your money to force you to spend it. Your savings could literally just vanish.
Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. The source breaks down how this control system is tailored for each social class. For the lower class, well, this system itself is the control mechanism. For the middle class, it's all about job insecurity, being treated as expendable human minerals. But for the wealthy, the upper class, the source claims there's a brand new high-tech tool designed specifically to control their money. And that tool is called the touching bottom system. Now, officially, it's just a personal finance management system for tax stuff. But according to the source, its real job is to target China's wealthiest. We're talking anyone earning over $270,000 a year. It basically gives the state a complete, real-time map of everything they own. Cars, income, investments, all of it. And just to really drive home their perspective on all this, the source uses this pretty blunt quote to describe the ruling party. They argue that if you understand this mindset, then you start to understand why these kinds of financial controls are being put into place. All right, so that's the economic side. Now let's flip this digital coin over and look at the other part of the claim, using the yuan for political and social control. The source makes this point. Revolutions don't start with the rich. They never have. They start with the masses, with everyday people. So if you want total control, you can't just focus on the elite. You need a system that can manage everybody. So how could this actually work? Well, China Insider lays out a playbook that is, frankly, chillingly simple. Step 1, a citizen protests or says something the state doesn't like. Step 2, they're identified using surveillance. Step 3, their digital wallet is frozen. Just poof. And step 4, they're instantly cut off from society. Can't buy food, can't ride a bus, can't do anything. Dissent is neutralized. So you might be asking yourself, okay, why aren't more people freaking out about this? And that's a great question. According to this source, the thinking for a lot of people is pretty straightforward. Hey, I'm a good, law-abiding citizen, I don't cause trouble, so this system isn't going to affect me. But the source warns that this is a huge, maybe even fatal mistake in thinking. Their argument is that once a system of total control is in place and accepted, it's game over. You can't resist it anymore. As they put it, By the time that you actually feel like something is wrong, it's already too late.
And all of this, it leads to the final and maybe the most unsettling consequence of this system, at least as our source describes it.
I mean, think about it. Once your money, your wealth, is no longer a physical thing you can hold, but just a digital entry controlled by the state, what is it really? The source argues that what you're left with is just a number, a string of digits on a server somewhere, a number that means nothing outside of that system, and one that can be changed or even erased in a heartbeat.
To really make this hit home, the source brings up this incredible analogy to the movie In Time. You know the one, where time is literally money, and when your clock hits zero, you just die. The suggestion here is that this digital system creates a scarily similar reality. Your ability to survive isn't based on what you do, but on a number that can be taken away by the state at any moment.
And that leaves us with the final, really provocative question that our source wants us to think about. When a government has the power to manage, to control, and even to delete the digital number that represents your entire economic existence, who really owns your life?